All right, for today's video review, we're going to finish off our look at this Commander class box set of Constructicons here. In our last video, we took a look at Hook here, and for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Studio Series 86 Long Haul, who of course comes with all the extra bits to make the Devastator combined mode. So, like I said, we looked at Hook before, so I'll just move him off to the side for now and just take a look at Long Haul. Now, he obviously comes with all this stuff, but also comes with this little gun here, which is just in two parts, which I couldn't quite figure out, and I think it's because this bit is supposed to, like, become the toe of like Devastator in the combined mode, but you can just combine those together and give him his handgun there, which, you know, in terms of storage, you're supposed to just plug it onto the side, which is a little inelegant, but you know, that's kind of the name of the game with these guys. But personally, I just put this off to the side. Now, Long Haul obviously is carrying a lot of extra stuff back here. Pretty much it just like clips in between his legs here. So you kind of just get it between these parts and then close up that tab there. And then he kind of loosely, you know, toes it from behind there. And yeah, this is like basically the upper legs of Devastator, and then also his lower arms. Of course, it's coming undone now, and then the chest pieces there. So you know, it's the way they decided to do Devastator this time, rather than having, you know, it's a different solution than basically what they did with Combiner Wars, where they, you know, basically compromised Long Haul quite a bit so that he could be the thighs, which I didn't hate. A lot of people really thought that Combiner Wars / Unite Warriors Long Haul looked kind of stupid, and I can definitely see that complaint. This guy's definitely a lot more G1 accurate, but it didn't really bother me. And I don't know that this really bothers me either. Like, it works well enough. It is kind of annoying to me that this can't, like, sit on its own as like a separate thing. It just kind of does that. Like, you can kind of take these clips here and, like, rotate them down a little bit to, you know, have it sit on its own. It works okay, but one thing I was also wondering was, can this also house the bits of the Devastator gun? And the answer is not really. I mean, they don't have any like dedicated spots. What you can do with them is you can plug them into the like missile pod sections up here, so they will no longer at all look like missile pods, but you can have the two guns kind of tabbed in there. These don't like to stay very well on the side, so you can do that. It, you know, makes it a little bit more cluttered up there, but I guess not a ton more than it already was. But yeah, basically these parts kind of break into, you can take the chest pieces off, which I guess real quick I can show off. If we bring on a Scrapper here, you can use these tabs here on these sections to tab the wings into the back to do that. For whatever that's worth. This is something that the original toy could do. It's not a very tight connection, but you know, you can do it. This is maybe it actually, wait a minute, no, I think it's supposed to be using both of these tabs and going into both of these slots here. That makes more sense, and they kind of meet in the middle there, so you can do the winged, you know, front end loader mode for whatever that's worth. But yeah, it's a little silly, but you know, it is a feature that this guy can do. But yeah, you got these two bits here. You got the chest piece, the center of the chest piece, just kind of, you know, hanging out underneath there, and then obviously these came with Scrapper, and then the two arm bits, which work very, very similar to the Combiner Wars style, where they kind of flip around there, and then you close up the peg. And they're very similar, although you can unpeg the hands for whatever reason. But so you know, got some modularity there. But that's basically how this piece works, and then this piece becomes the thighs there, and it works well enough if you like, you know, to have him just as like a sort of flatbed, extended flatbed truck, which is kind of neat because like in the movie verse of Devastator, you had the character. Oh gosh, what was his name? Overload, that basically turned into this kind of vehicle as a new Constructicon. So you can kind of use this to replicate that look here with Long Haul, which he kind of does need to be a flatbed truck because this is not a dump truck anymore, because this is my main complaint about this figure, honestly, is there is no space at all in the in the truck bed. And it's just like, are we even creating the illusion that this is a dump truck if there's literally that much space there? Like, I don't know. I wish that they had made the legs more like depressed in there and then you know, had these panels stick up a little bit more so it could actually be a dump truck. Like, it's always been a thing for dump truck transformers that they always have a very shallow truck bed there. But this is like really a new high there, whereas like there's nothing, no space in there at all, which I find to be kind of a bummer. But other than that, he's a nice looking dump truck mode here. In terms of comparisons, forgot to transform him. Just for a standard one, we'll do side swipe real quick. He's easy to get through. That's why I use him as my standard size comparison, because he's so quick to to go back and forth. He's definitely, I think, the figure that I've transformed the most. But here's just for a standard size comparison, he is with Sideswipe, which again, you know, my complaint with these guys is I do feel like they are a bit small to be scaling with regular, you know, Generations Deluxes and Voyagers, because like just look at the canopy section compared to the windshield, like yeah, no way. He should be a bit bigger than that, but whatever. Here he is with Combiner Wars Long Haul, just so you can see how much of a downscale he is. He's really the one that's like the least based on the Combiner Wars / Unite Warriors version. So, you know, they're quite a bit different, since this guy is basically like these two bits combined. So he's even a little bit smaller in comparison to the Combiner Wars version than most of them are. But I like this scale for Long Haul. I like him being big. Even he had like a kind of shallow truck bed here, but at least there's some space in there. But whatever. That's the two of them look like together. And then here he is with our other Studio Series Constructicons so far. Just 2 to go, which should be showing up relatively recently, relatively soon. But the 4 of them look pretty cool together. And yeah, to get onto transformation, like I said, he is, you know, the one that is the least like his Combiner Wars variant. But basically, you want to take the entire truck bed here and just flip it up like that, and then lock in these sections, and that'll just be his legs all done. Then you want to take the these panels, which are the arms, which will tab into the side here and also up into there. So you kind of have to wiggle it out of place, and then take this hinge and collapse the hinge like that. Double hinge the arm out to the side, and then flip out the hand, and just do that on both sides here. Then we want to take this this front panel here and open that up. He's got some nice detail in there too that's sculpted and painted, which didn't really have to be because it's not visible in any mode, just during transformation. And then you kind of unhook this section, bring the whole thing down, and clip it into place, and then kind of get the head sorted out there and close that back up. And then take this panel and just double hinge it onto the back so it sits behind him just like that. And there we have Long Haul in his robot mode. And yeah, definitely quite a bit more G1 accurate than the Combiner Wars version in terms of the overall shaping of him. And yeah, I like the way that he looks generally. I don't love that he's got this like panel stapled to the back of his head. I don't love how the wheels stick way out in the back of the legs. But other than that, he's a pretty good looking robot. In terms of articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so it can rotate around, gets a little bit of wiggle. The shoulders can rotate around like that and go out to the side. He's got ball jointed elbows, which give him a bicep swivel, and you know, about 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. I do find that these joints don't click into place as strongly as I'd like them to, because when moving around his arms, that can happen sometimes, which is a bit annoying, but whatever. Nothing at the wrists other than bending in a little bit. No waist joint. Again, none of these guys have waist joints, unfortunately. He's definitely the one that sort of feels like he ought to, because it seems like there is space there for it, but whatever. Hips can go forward and back and out to the side. Got a thigh swivel. Now he's got a couple different setups for the knee here. I think that this is the one you're supposed to use for this mode, which only bends about that far, unfortunately. And he does have this separate transformation joint, which you can use to bend the leg a bit further, but it's like a bit higher. Ultimately, his legs are a little weird looking. Like, I feel like that knee feels a little bit low, and this knee feels a little bit high. I don't know, but it's sort of something in the middle would have been nice, but it's not really what we got there. But I don't know. I sort of feel like the transformation joint looks a little bit better as a knee, but this is definitely the one you're supposed to use as a knee. I don't know if it's like just a slight bend, it looks fine. But as soon as you get the leg a bit more bent up, I think that the knees start to look a little bit strange, but whatever. And it also does click into place, which is, again, kind of annoying for like a knee joint to like really harshly click into place, which both of those joints do. And then you can give him some ankle tilt here. I guess you could also, I don't know if you're supposed to, yeah, use these panels as heel support. He doesn't really need it, but you can flip those out to give him heel support. Not entirely sure whether you're supposed to or not, because I know what those are for combined mode, but either way, he stands pretty fine on his own. But yeah, in terms of his weapon, obviously we can give him his little weapon here, and he looks fine, I guess, holding it. In terms of storage, where is there? I don't know that he actually really has storage in robot mode. I mean, you could just kind of peg it onto the side of his leg, but there's no dedicated place for it to sit on the back, unfortunately. But works well enough, I guess. In terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Kingdom Sideswipe. So you can see definitely still a bit taller than Deluxe's, which is good. I don't want them to, all be Deluxe height. I'd want them to at least be Voyagers, but still honestly a little bit smaller than I'd like him to be. Like, here he is with Siege Megatron, still quite a bit shorter than he is, and I feel like to properly scale with the new Studio Series Megatron, which is going to be a bit bigger, that he should be about Siege Megatron height at least, but whatever. That's what the two of them look like together. Here he is with Unite Warriors Long Hual, just so you can see how dwarfed he is by that figure. But obviously, proportionally, he looks a lot better. Like, I don't think you can really argue that. Like, I was fine with the big, stupid-looking, dumpy Long Hual design, but this guy definitely does look better in robot mode for sure. And then last but not least, here he is with our other three Constructicons so far, so you can see how the team's working out. He's definitely the tallest one, and I think will be the tallest one, even with Scavenger and Mixmaster. But yeah, they look good together. Like I said, my main complaint that I'm going to keep repeating with these guys is I just wish they were bigger. I think that the design overall is better than the Combiner Wars version, but I would have kind of preferred a Combiner Wars scale. I don't know. Maybe some knockoff company will do upscaled versions of these guys like they did downscaled versions of the Combiner Wars version, which is kind of funny, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, to get him into combined mode, he does a few things. Obviously, we want to, what do we want to do? Oh yeah, we want to take this whole section, that rotates up like this, and then take this whole section with the body and the head and rotate that back so that the head can sit back into place, and then we can close this back up. For the arms, you want to close up the hands here, and then you leave them out like this, but then you unlock this section and rotate this sort of this way so that this tab right here goes into that slot, just like that. And then this tab on the arm, kind of hard to see, this tab on the arm will go into that slot right there. Just like, get it in there, come on, there we go, just like that. And do that same thing on both sides here. There we go. Then we take the legs and we basically kind of accordion them back up, sort of similar to how they were in vehicle mode, just like this, and have them tabbed together. And then you take the heel panels and flip them over, and they will lock into that panel there to really keep this strong in place. And that's his portion. You can also take the this bit here, and basically this whole thing kind of has this huge panel that just flips around to hide the thighs, and then you take that and you fold that up like, is that right? Yeah, like that basically, and then the thighs themselves lock into the hip skirts, and you bring those down just like that, and then bring the hip skirts down, and then take these two pieces and sandwich them together, and that's the connection with Long Hual, which you pretty much just kind of have to bring this panel down at first to keep it out of the way, and then you clip this in there just like that, and then you bring this bit back up, and it kind of double hinges up so that these bits here will go into those bits there. It's gonna be kind of tricky to do sometimes. There we go. And basically that's the Long Hual connection. I'm not gonna connect everything else with him. We're gonna wait for Mixmaster and Scavenger to do a full Devastator video, but that's his portion there of the combined mode. And yeah, it works pretty well for, you know, an upper thighs and lower torso section there. Not really a whole lot to say about it, but basically, Long Hual is a pretty decent figure. I think my main complaint about him, honestly, is just the lack of a real truck bed, and you know, that's not an alien issue to to Transformers by any means. I feel like a lot of dump truck Transformers don't really actually have space in the back like they ought to, which is kind of a shame. But you know, it's not a new problem. But other than that, you know, I think that a lot of people really felt that that Combiner Wars / Unite Warriors Long Hual was really the what's the word, the like the kind of odd man out, the sort of bad part of the set. There's an expression I'm looking for that's just not coming to my head. And this guy definitely alleviates that problem. He's definitely a lot more G1 accurate. He, you know, looks good in robot mode. He's got decent-ish articulation. But yeah, no, he's fine. I like these guys relatively well. He's really the one that's the most different from the Combiner Wars version. And I definitely think he is a better individual figure, but, you know, my usual complaint is just, I wish he was bigger, and that's pretty much it. This, I don't really mind how they do this. That's fine. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday and Thursday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Studio Series 86 Long Hual.